Now, in a strong message from the BCCI to Team India after the shambolic 3-1 loss to Australia, BCCI has announced new sets of rules for the players. Now, the new rules, in fact, places restrictions on personal staff and presence of players' families on tours to promote discipline and unity in team. Now, participation in domestic matches has been mandatory for players and exceptions can be made only under extraordinary circumstances. Now, BCCI has also barred players from engaging in personal shoots or endorsement during their ongoing series or tour. So what is really the set of rules or the mandatory domestic, the guidelines that has now been set up by the BCCI? Of course, these are 10-point guidelines that has been set by BCCI. The first one is that mandatory for national team selection and central contracts. Now, there is going to be participation in both, and the travel policy is that players must travel with the team. So this is the travel policy restriction that has now been put on players. Now, separate arrangements with kin is going to be discouraged is the new guideline that is set in place now. Now, baggage limitation. Players must adhere to the baggage limitation as far as traveling is concerned, and the excess cost is to be borne by the player himself. Now, the personal staff restricted is also in fact restricted on tours and series. There is going to be restriction as far as personal staff is concerned, and if needed, approval must be taken prior from the BCCI. Now, apart from that, the players must coordinate with the team management as far as the equipment logistics is concerned. Now, the excess cost for separate arrangement is also to be borne by the players. And the another guideline here is that the attendance, players must stay for entire practice session. They cannot miss it in between. They have to complete the entire practice session. Players must travel together to and from the venue. Now, no personal shoots, no shoots or endorsements during the ongoing series and tour. They need to focus on the series is what the new guideline says. Family travel, 1 visit per series by partner and children is allowed. Now, arrangement as far as the family is concerned is only for the player if remains abroad for over 45 days. Now, the players are also required to be available for official shoots and promotions, and apart from that, the players must stay with the team till the end of the series. Now, above a rule applies even if the matches conclude earlier than planned. So, these are of course the guidelines that has in fact come in place. Another guideline restriction here is the compliance. Non-compliance may lead to disciplinary action against the player is what the guideline says. Action may include sanctions and deduction from the match fees. So, this is of course a very concentrated guideline that has in fact been put in place by the BCCI. Let me now go across to CricketNext, Vineet R, who is in fact joining us right now. Vineet, earlier, just 5-6 days before, there was a press conference by the BCCI where they said there's not going to be a knee-jerk reactions. How is the players and the experts reacting to this guideline that has now been set up by them?
Well, these kind of guidelines have been part and parcel of the BCCI setup and the Indian cricket team of the past. Whenever there has been poor performances or prolonged poor performances, these kind of guidelines or these kind of reactions you have seen. This we cannot specify this as knee-jerk reaction, but kind of a rollback to what BCCI stringent rules were. Remember, a lot of these rules or a lot of these guidelines were relaxed during the COVID period, especially the families being part of such long tours. Now it is kind of a rollback that the BCCI have gone back to. But what are the main points here? One of the biggest point is the domestic cricket, the emphasis on playing domestic cricket. This was something Jay Shah, when he was the BCCI secretary, had actually emphasized, and we had seen, somebody like a Shreyas Iyer and Nishan Kishan losing out their central contracts because they were not willing to play the domestic cricket. So the emphasis is on domestic cricket, be it the senior players, be it the veterans, that they have to play domestic cricket. Remember, it was a Dilip Trophy where a lot of senior players opted not to play ahead of the Australia series, and which could have been one of the reasons where India struggled in Australia because they did not have much of red ball. So the emphasis is definitely on playing domestic cricket and getting themselves match ready, be it a senior player, be it a junior player or anybody who's coming up the ranks. Secondly, about the travel restrictions with the family members, this is basically it's just a message from the BCCI about the team unity and the cohesion between the team, because this was something that had come up during the Australia series, the discord between the team when, despite the win at Perth, the team was not celebrating the win as a team, but they in fact went ahead and chose to celebrate it with their family. So this is kind of a message wherein BCCI is asking the players that if you are part of a team, if you are part of the setup, if you are part of the touring team, you have to be there within the team. For example, a lot of senior players, then because their families were there, they opted not to travel on the team bus and opted for private vehicle to be part of their families. Now the dictator pretty much clearly says, even if your family is there with you, you are not allowed to travel with them. You will have to be part of the team bus, even during practice sessions, even if the matches get over early or not, you have to travel with the team. The family can travel separately, that is not an issue, but you have to be part of the team. So the emphasis here is again on unity, cohesion, and a team bonding kind of an exercise, wherein this was something that was missing probably during the Australia series, and which pretty much became apparent after the leaks, the media reports that leaked in terms of the discord that was happening within the team.
All right. Thank you, Vineet, for getting us all those details.